got the battery box tacked together. Now it's gonna be a bit of a tight fit to get this thing to fit in here, but we are gonna have to modify this portion of the frame and just have to extend it that way a little bit, as well as we need to make sure that the motor doesn't hit the battery box when the suspension moves up and down, because the motor kind of does move forward a little bit with the suspension movement, so we just need to make sure that that clears it and everything, and then we can figure out how we're actually attaching the battery box into the frame. So yeah, let me redo the mounts that's connecting the frame to the table, and then we can cut this out and figure out how we're actually getting this thing to fit in here. Ooh. Oh, that's close. What is that, like an 1/8 of an inch? 3/16? Yeah, a little bit close, but should be enough. Yeah, these are not symmetrical. This one's sticking out a little bit further than this one, but I'm not super worried about it. This whole frame is not symmetrical, so I don't think it's a big deal. So I kind of want to weld this whole thing together before installing it the frame, just so in case it warps, let's get the warp and then install it. Alright, so the battery box is now mounted in the frame. The frame looks kind of weird. Now it's sticking out a lot further on the bottom, but I don't know. I'm starting to get used to it a little bit. Once I first saw it, I'm like, wow, that looks weird, but I don't know. It's starting to grow on me, I guess. I'm starting to get used to it. Now, obviously, we need to add a cover to this thing to hold the battery in place. Obviously, the battery box needs a cover. Now, I think the easiest way to be able to bolt the cover on and off is just by taking a bunch of aluminum blocks and like welding them to the outside of this battery box all the way around in like certain spots, and then we can drill and tap through those aluminum blocks to bolt the cover on. And we have to weld them on the outside because if we do it on the inside, then the battery won't fit. That's how snug the battery fits in here. So let's start cutting out a bunch of aluminum chunks and then welding them to the outside of this thing. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can tap all these holes with a drill, just to speed it up. Battery box is pretty much finished. It looks a little goofy in there, but that's just what I had to do to be able to get this to work. Now, the tubing that was originally here that I ended up cutting short to try to leave the tabs originally, I ended up just cutting it all the way off. And it's just going to be a lot easier to redo the tubing going from here to here to strengthen stuff. It's going to be a lot easier to do that without, you know, the original little bits to leave the tabs, and we'll redo the tabs for the plastics once we get that installed. Now, I really want to add some type of protection for this motor because it's kind of exposed under here, and I can kind of see like a rock could hit this and smash this thing. So I want to add a hoop that goes underneath here, and I'm also thinking of adding a skid plate that goes under this whole thing. I don't know. That now that I'm looking at that, that looks kind of ridiculous, let's be honest. Now, we already have this, so we really don't have to strengthen up this that much. We more just have to strengthen up the very tail end of this. So now I'm thinking, instead of going on the outside of the shocks on both sides, because this one sticks out a little bit further, we can go on the inside on this side. So now I'm thinking, what if we just have one piece of tubing going from here, right here, going on the inside, going up to this right here. That'll strengthen the tail section up a little bit more. It'll be on the inside. We won't see it. We just have to make sure it clears the motor and everything. I think that is going to be a lot better and look a lot better than that. That just looks... that looks a little too ridiculous. Yeah, I think that is a lot better. It's hopefully going to strengthen this tail section up enough, and on the inside, you can't really see it, clears the motor, clears the shock. I think that is a lot better. Now, like I said in the last video, we definitely want to still have the gas tank on this, even though we don't need a gas tank anymore. It's electric, we don't need a gas tank, but we still want to have this on here because I still want to have all the original plastics that this thing had, and we need it because this is where the top of the seat mounts onto, so we kind of still need to have the gas tank on here to be able to mount the seat properly and all that kind of stuff. And we need to figure out a place to put the controller. Now, I could put it under the seat right here, but then it's going to get splashed with mud. It's vulnerable to rocks and the tire. Or I could put it right here, mount it to the frame right here, and then use the gas tank to hide it and protect it and all that kind of stuff. All we got to do is basically just cut out the whole bottom side of this thing, which we already have to do to get this gas tank to fit on here because of now the battery box is sticking out. So let's see if we can hide the controller underneath the gas tank. Alright, burning plastic is probably going to smell wonderful, so... Unfortunately, yeah, the controller doesn't fit right here with the gas tank on here. The gas tank is not that big. And I tried all different kinds of angles, and it doesn't fit, unfortunately. Now, that doesn't mean we can't put it in this location, because I was looking at this, and there is this empty spot right here. If we cut this off, we don't really need this anymore. This is to mount the coil for the engine. We don't need that. And if we cut this off, I know this is structural to the frame, but hopefully it's not going to weaken the frame too much if we cut this off. And we'd also have to cut and lower this part of the battery box. We'd have to lower it 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch. If we do that, then we can mount the controller on the top of the battery box right here inside the frame right here. That is, I think, our best option to be able to mount the controller on here. Hopefully it's not going to weaken the frame too much by cutting this. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. We'll find out. Now, I think that's our best option. So let's modify the battery box. Let's cut this off, so therefore we can just mount the controller right on top right there. Yeah, it doesn't really cover it that well on this side, but I do have this. This is the original panel that goes on here, but that also doesn't really cover it that well because it's designed to have the radiator right here. That's why this one, you know, is wide open. So I don't think I'll install this. I think I'll just figure out some type of panel to put over this. So now let's put the plastics back on this thing. Yeah, that's one thing I really like about this dirt bike. I can actually touch the ground. The 250, that thing was kind of annoying because I could barely tiptoe with that thing, leaning over a little bit, just barely touch the ground. And this one, because it's an 85, I can actually touch the ground with this one, so that's gonna be nice. Now, there's still a lot of stuff we got to do to this thing before it's actually ready to take its first test drive, but we're going to do all that in the next video. We still have to, you know, do the skid plate, finish the battery, finish the controller, finish mounting the controller, wire this thing up. We really have to shorten this cable. That thing's way too long. We got to do the chain tensioners. We have to finish the rear brake. We got to finish welding this thing. It's not fully welded together, but we'll do all that in the next video, but before we end this video, I'm dying to see this thing at least spin the back tire. I want to see what this thing sounds like and what it looks like, so I'm going to plug the motor in, plug the controller in, and just spin it up on the table just to see what this thing looks like. Okay, plugging it in. Why is it beeping? So this motor has a problem. For some reason, it's saying the motor temperature protection is kicking on because it thinks that the motor is like overheating. Let me plug it back in. So it thinks the motor is 199 degrees. Why does it think that? I don't know. Did we pinch a wire? Something's wrong. So to solve this, I just unplug the wire. I remember it being the red wire, but maybe it was the silver. Let's try the silver. Okay. So now it thinks the motor is fine. Okay, it's working. Let me reverse motor direction. Save. Oh, man. Oh, crap. It's a little terrifying at first, I'll admit, but holy crap! gearing on this is going to be pretty much perfect for how much torque this motor has, with the gearing that it is being almost 1-to-1 and having a smaller size tire. I think it's going to have way better acceleration than my other electric dirt bike that I built, and a slightly less top speed. But when I was testing the top speed of my other electric dirt bike, the 250, I think it's a little too fast. It's a little too fast with how off balance the front tire is, because at a certain speed, the front tire just starts shaking so bad, it's like starts lifting off the ground. So it's like, it's fast enough. It's good. So this one having a little bit lower top speed and better acceleration, better torque to the wheels, I think the gearing's going to be perfect. Now, a couple days ago, I uploaded part 1 of this project, and I saw a lot of comments of you guys asking me, like, why did I choose this setup? Why did I use a hub motor as mid-drive? Why didn't I not just buy a mid-drive motor to use as a mid-drive motor? I think I already said this, but let me say this again. I bought this hub motor pretty much the same time I bought the other hub motor that I used for the other electric dirt bike that I built, the 250. And by the time I built that one, I realized how much they suck. They're really not great off-roading with a hub motor. It's a lot of unsprung weights. The weight distribution's terrible. It's horrible for off-roading, horrible for jumping. And by the time I realized that, I already bought this one, and it was too late to return it, and these things are not cheap. I didn't want to just put it on a shelf and not use it and buy a mid-drive motor. So it's like, look, let's try to make this one work. Let's try to use this one as mid-drive, and because it's mid-drive, we get to use certain aspects of the design of what it is. It's a lot skinnier, so therefore it kind of fits a little bit better in the swing arm. We can have 1-to-1 gearing. I already explained this, but we can have 1-to-1 gearing and have the chain a lot quieter. And I think it's going to work a little bit better, if not a lot better, than other mid-drive setups with the normal mid-drive motor. But we'll find out. We'll soon test this thing and see how much better this is, how much quieter the chain is, and all the torque ratings and everything. But yeah, we're going to have to do all that in the next video of this project. But for now, I gotta end this video here. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video.
Oh, that's hot. Big glob of molten plastic just landed on my arm. Yep, that burned. Damn.
Is it a couple hours later? Yep, molten plastic landed on my arm, and I couldn't get it off fast enough because it was stuck on there. So yeah, my skin's starting to bubble up a little bit, so yeah, that'll feel wonderful in the shower later. So this is probably a really stupid idea, but I want to do it anyway because, I don't know, I want to try it. Full RPM, here goes nothing. What was that? Let's try again. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything. I do have a little chunk of aluminum, so do I dare try it? Screw it. What's the worst that can happen? Where'd that go? Okay, I should stop. I should just stop before I end up breaking something.